right now what I want to do is begin the process of introducing individuals who are in the room, who are your local representatives and senators, actually, with Darin. And so let me also say I spoke with Lynn Hutchings yesterday, and poor lady, she is going through a sickness. I was talking to someone just today. Actually, Rob Geringer texted me and said, hey, I'm sorry I cannot come again, also because he is sick as well. And so there are some folks who would like to be here, cannot be here because of sickness. But you now have an opportunity to interact with some of those who are elected from here in Laramie County, and we're so thankful that they've come. Much of this actually began with Daniel Singh. And so he's the first gentleman I'd like to bring up. Daniel is in House District number 61, and he has done a great job, and I really appreciate all the work that he is doing. But what we're asking of each of these fellows is that, and ladies, is that they would give maybe about 7 to 10 minutes, and you don't have to use the whole thing, but and then if you have questions, if you would write those questions down, what we'll do is we'll invite all of the senators and representatives up in a moment. Then you can ask them questions, because you may find someone else will have something to weigh into that as well. So, Daniel, thank you so much. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm actually his representative, so I have to make sure that I'm on a tight leash here. So, thank you, everyone. My name is Daniel Singh. I represent House District 61, which is in the eastern part of Cheyenne, this western part of Sun Valley. And so, just a couple of things from the last presentation that I did want to address. The question as to whether or not a committee bill is inherently better than a individually sponsored bill. It's true that these bills have undergone more vetting and more conversations. You get to hear more information from the agencies as to how this will affect the government and the citizenry, and all that is true. But a lot of that also comes down to how the committees are composed. So the Speaker of the House, he's like the top dog when it comes to the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate President on the other side. They are the ones who will decide who mans these committees. And so if a committee is manned by a particular set of individuals who say they adhere to a particular ideology, then you're going to see that ideology more reflected in those committee bills. And so that's why this last session, there's in the budget session, there's a threshold requirement for how a bill is introduced, and you have to get it with 2/3 of the legislative body approving it in order to get introduced to the session. And so the committee bills that were passed through committee were not actually reflective of that 2/3 that would have been essential in passing the bill itself. And so we saw a lot of committee bills that did not make it through the 2/3 threshold, partly because of the composition of the committees. And so it's essential that the Speaker of the House and the Senate President man these committees fairly in order for them to actually pass the 2/3 threshold. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, some of the bills that I'm excited to be running this session will be first, my bread and butter one. This is hospital pricing transparency. And so this bill will require that a hospital has a menu of the services that they provide, and that menu has the cash price, the price you're paying cash, and then the negotiated price, a range of negotiated price for insurance providers. The reason why we would want this is because in a free market, you know how much you're going to pay, right? And so that is, ideally we would want to know how much we're going to pay in any sort of situation that we're walking into. The current situation is that even though there was legislation passed regarding this on a federal level, Wyoming hospitals are not in compliance with that language, and the current president, President Biden, he changed the language with an executive order to say that it would be proposed in an algorithmic language instead of a readable language that you could see the dollars and cents for the price of each of these operations. And so this will put into state statute that all of the services provided are easily readable in a way that's accessible to the public. You don't have to sign up on an extra page. You don't have to go through a CAPTCHA or make a special profile. It's all going to be easily available to the public. And as you know, I'm a believer in the free market, and I believe that as an effect of this, the price of these services, you can go to a hospital and get an MRI for $3,000 in one hospital, $2,000 in one hospital, and $400 in the other hospital. This will see the equilibrium of that as the markets play out. And so that's the purpose of this bill, and I really hope to get enough support in the House and the Senate to pass this. Another bill that I'm excited to be running is a bill that I ran last year, but I didn't have the opportunity to get any of my bills heard. So that was a bummer last time, but as a result of that, I am actually running like 12 bills.
But you're not a freshman.
I am not a freshman, but I'm just throwing these at the wall to see what sticks. So I will get one of my bills heard. This bill would essentially, what we're doing, the public isn't actually interacting with the information that's being put forward by their governments. They see it, it's being sent to a newspaper, and these newspapers then have that information on the very last page in tiny little lettering that nobody can see. You have to bust out your reading glasses, and it's lucky to get any sort of public attention. This will centralize that information on a website with the Secretary of State that is accessible to everyone, and it's much cheaper than effectively subsidizing these newspapers with that information. And so the purpose of that is to make that information more accessible and more efficient for local governments. It will end up saving money for local governments, be it the municipalities, special districts, or the counties. All of them will have an opportunity to save some money. This was brought to me actually by the mayor of Mills north of us. So I'm excited to collaborate with other parts of the state in order to get good ideas done. And then the third bill I wanted to talk about today it's called By the People Act. And what this does is, I've heard so much from so many folks that there isn't an opportunity for public comment, or that they feel as if the people that are making these decisions are ramrodding these through and we're not hearing from the public. And so this will require that every agency gives an opportunity for public comment, that there is a public keeping of the minutes that is available indefinitely, and that that there is an opportunity to participate online as well. So that we live in an age where you're able to record things on video and interact via Zoom or what have you. This bill would create that opportunity for folks to interact digitally and give their testimony online, because it is a serious concern that folks, I have the benefit of living in this beautiful capital city, perhaps the greatest capital in the states that we call home, but not everybody lives here in Cheyenne, and they have to drive a long ways in order to interact with the legislature. And so this will give an opportunity for citizens all across the state to interact with the business that we're doing, the people's business. And so I am running a lot of other bills. I'm happy to talk about them, but those are the bills that I wanted to share with you. I'm also serving on the Education Committee, and I'm serving as the Vice Chair of the Judiciary Committee. And in those roles, as we're here with the Family Alliance today, I'm excited to stand for Wyoming values. When you send your children to an educational institution, they should not be learning about sex changes, okay? They should be learning about... This is not the education. When you send your children to an institution to educate themselves, they should not be educating themselves on sexual theory. They should be learning about Seneca and Cicero and the founding fathers, the people that built up this country on ideals that are truly one of a kind. And as Nathan was saying earlier, 5% of humanity has ever had the opportunity to participate in their government. And we need to be taking advantage of that. We need to be educating our kids. I look in this room, and there are a lot of wonderful people with a ton of life experience, and I don't have as much of that life experience. But part of the reason why I ran in the first place, so that I could take this experience and give it to the young people that are coming up in the future, so that way they could be a part of the government that they're inheriting. And well, this is the process, and we need to get them involved. So thank you, everyone. My phone number is 307-274-3909. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can tell you, as a citizen of House District 61, I feel well represented, and it's a joy. Well, next we have the opportunity to introduce you to several representatives-elect, and then we'll end with a senator-elect. And so what a joy to get to introduce you. First of all, you can see the man sitting here with the really cool gray silver belly cowboy hat on the front here. There's two guys that are well known for their cowboy hats and mustaches. One of them put them on his signs. But we'll start with Gary, and then we'll go to Steve. Hey, Gary, thank you so much for being with us. Give him a round of applause.
So, my name's Gary Brown. I'm in House District 41. If you want to know where that's at, you're sitting in it. Basically right in the center of my district. So, I'll let you know. First of all, I want to say hi to all of you. Thank you all for being here, and to so many friends. I made a lot of friends when I was out going door to door campaigning for this. And I'll tell you what, I miss going door to door. I really do. I don't miss the work, but I miss coming to your door and talking to you, because I meet friends. I see friends here from my district, and thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So let me say I'm going to be on two committees. I'm going to be on the Corporations Committee. That committee deals with elections and subdivisions, and as well as corporation stuff. And the reason I wanted to be on that was because it deals with elections. And a big thing here in our state that we have been concerned with for some time is the election integrity. The media will tell you, the ones on the other side of the aisle, the ones who disagree with us, will tell you we have no problems in this state with our elections. Everything is smooth, everything is above board, and we have the most perfect elections, and you don't have to worry about that. Well, it's not true. And we know it's not true, because we see things all the time that are very concerning. And while I was registering to run for Central Committeeman this year, I was down at the county clerk's office, and there were several illegal aliens in there that were trying to register to vote. And they were going, well, I'm married to a citizen, so I get to vote. And so we see these things happen. We found out during the elections in other parts of the state, there were illegals that were trying to vote. So I want to be on that committee so we can work on our election integrity and really clamp it down. And I'm going to get to work with my friends. I'm going to get to work with Ann Lucas and Steve Johnson. They're going to be in that committee as well. And then I've made some friends over the years going up to the Capitol. I've spent about the last 2.5, 3 years for the full time going up to the Capitol and sitting in the gallery, watching how the process works. I have testified in several committees, and I would encourage you guys to do that. Here's the thing. The first time that I testified in a committee, I had no intention of doing it. I've been going in and watching other people and thinking, I can't do that. I can't testify. I just can't do it. I have a hard time speaking to groups of people. It was an abortion bill. I've had 2 of my children aborted. You will never get over that. And I just could not sit there any longer. And so I got up. I went up there and I told my story. That bill did pass. It had a lot of problems that people really fought against it. It did pass. And I really felt that I had a part in that. You can have a part in this stuff. And a lot of times it's just you going up and saying, my name is so-and-so, I live in such and such a house district, and I am against this bill, I am for this bill. And that's enough, because they hear you say it. Sometimes it's just that. But you need to take a part in this because it's very important. It's you people that they listen to. The experts, the people that come in there and speak on behalf of a department and like that, they're going to give the statistics. You guys hold the vote. And you guys make a difference. So please take part in that. The other bill, or the other committee I'm going to be on is going to be revenue. And of course that's going to deal with another thing that I've got a passion for, and that's the problem with our property taxes. Many of us have felt the problems in that. And we need to be looking at doing something to give some relief to you folks. And the 900-pound gorilla in the room that's always there is spending. And people, we need to be looking at the spending. We need to be cutting back on spending. That's not going to happen in revenue so much as looking at the property tax and stuff. But us as a legislature, we need to be looking at spending. And we need to be cutting back on spending. Because they're going to, as long as you let them get away with it, they're going to continue to spend and spend and spend and spend. We need to cut things back. And there are places we can cut back. There's a lot of places we can cut back. The cities, the counties, the state, they want to spend. They want to spend. But we need to cut that back because it's your money. It's not the state's money. So, am I done? Okay. So, again, I told Nathan I didn't need 7 minutes, but
Typical politician.
But no, folks, come up and be part of it. We need you there. That's the one thing that I did here when I was sitting in the gallery. I got to know the legislators across the state, and so many of them would stop me and go, "Thank you for being in the gallery. Thank you for being in the gallery." Because they know I was on their side. I was the conservative side, and there's those on the other side that do not side so much with us. But I was on the conservative side instead of conservatives, and they were not in power. Those of us going in as freshmen now, we have it easy. We're going in with the power. We're going in with the leadership and like that. So come and help us out. Thank you, Nathan.
Very good. What I really truly appreciate is you see exactly what Sue mentioned just a few minutes ago, that those who we elect to represent us are men and women just like us, and they have passion and they care very, very much. And so I really appreciate that, Gary. Now let's go from a gray hat to a black hat, but he's a good guy. And so he's one of the good guys. Please, Steve, I appreciate you very much being here. And so would you help me welcome Steve Johnson?
Thank all of you. I'm House District 8, formerly Sue's district. We had a little interim there, but I got the seat back for us. North Cheyenne. I'm pretty excited about going into the legislature. We do have, like Gary said, we do have a majority there. We are so excited. We all know we got in that position through God. We prayed to God that we would win this seat, and we're going to do His will. So the exciting thing about the legislature is we're stacking stones. When Joshua brought the people into Jordan, he said, stack stones, that's our boundary. That's our covenant with God. So we are making a covenant with God. We're going to do His will. We're going to be Christians in that legislature. So if you go to up in the gallery and you look down on our desks, you'll start seeing stones on their desks all around. And those are, you'll know who we are then. Those stones are our paperweights, and those are the 5 and dime bills. I don't know if you know about the 5 and dime, but we want to pass 5 bills in 10 days. The ones that you have all said, that those are ones we want passed. Those are important to us. So if you look down the gallery, you'll see our preferential bills with the paperweight on them, on our desks. So we're pretty excited about that. I just can't wait to get started. I think this freshman crew, I think we have 17 new freshmen, plus the ones that stayed there. That, you know, so we're pretty excited about it. And one bill I have, it's give us our money back bill. I don't know if you know, Laramie County has almost $250 million in reserves. $250 million. So that's ridiculous. I think they need to give that back to us. They have enough money to make expenses. They can save that in reserve, but they're not entitled to our money. That's our money. So that's one bill that I'm excited about.
Which committees are you on besides corporations?
Corporations and my good friend Kevin Lewis, agriculture, he calls it the gardening committee.
That's good. We're good. You have more time, but I tell you what, this is a man that gets right to the point and says, I love it. I'm so excited about the future here. This is just great. By the way, I love the idea of the stone as well. Right now I have sitting in my office, on my first trip to Israel in 2015, I picked up a stone from the valley of Elah, which is where David fought Goliath. And I had a dear friend in Thermopolis who tumbled that stone and used a laser to etch into it. And then 2 years ago when I was there, I had the chance to pick up 5 stones. And then they mean the world to me, but there is something about something that helps you remember who you are and what you're fighting for. And so I really like that. Well, next I'd like to invite our representative-elect, Ann Lucas, to come forward. And Ann, what is the district number again?
43.
District number 43. And so newly elected, and I believe this lady has a lot of really good priorities and will be fighting hard for the citizens of her district and for all of Wyoming. So please help me welcome Ann.
First thing I want to do before I forget, because sometimes I do that, man, my head is so full now, I'm learning so much. If we would like to be able to get a hold of folks like you, if we have something important coming up in a committee hearing where we really need the public support, which is, by the way, all of them. But it really makes a difference when citizens appear at committees. We're so lucky to live in Cheyenne because we can go there in person. Yeah, you can go on Zoom, it's fine, but your butt in the chair really means a lot. So I'm going to just pass this around. You're under no obligation, but if you'd like to, give us your name, your email, your cell phone. If you don't have email, just give me your cell phone, and that means I'm going to text you. But because we really do want to get a hold of you and let you know what's going on and how you can help. Every one of us that won an election this year didn't used to be a politician. And there are some folks who go, well, there's too many freshmen this year, and they're not going to do very well because they don't know how to govern. If we only have people who know how to do the job, then why do we have elections? We would just have professional politicians doing it all the time. Okay, so I'm in House District 43, and that's Southeast Cheyenne, so Saddle Ridge, Sun Valley, Dakota Crossing, all the way to the Colorado border that far south, almost as far east as Burns. It's a pretty big district. I beat this fella. I beat this fella who invented selected this district. He just said, well, I like this piece and that piece, and so I got them all, and it's like all over the place. But, wow, what a bunch of great people. I just really had a blast door knocking. I know it's hard to believe and so many of you are my friends, and I've met and treasured so many of you for your support in my campaign, that I like to talk. I don't know strangers. I only meet people that I haven't become friends with yet. So it was really great. A couple of things. When you go to committee, it's really important to know that there's not enough time. There's never enough time. So when you see people starting to line up by the tables up front, get up there. Because once they see you standing there, they'll let you talk. But sometimes we just run out of time. And it's important for you to get up there. Don't be shy. They'll be really nice to you. You're the boss. So it's a great experience. And once you do it, and you do it again and again, and I'm probably not even getting on camera, am I?
Oh, you're good.
Like it matters. But it's really important for you to speak. Your voice is more important than any lobbyist or any agency representative who shows up for a bill. You're the one that matters. So do it if you can. And please let us know if we can tell you about that. When you see these things, click here to email your legislator. Know that your legislator is going to get hundreds of emails, and most of them are going to be identical to each other. How do I know this? Because I've already gotten a bunch of them. 101 in one day, and every one of them was identical to the others. And it's really hard for you to stick out when that's the case. So please email, send emails. I'd rather get that than nothing, but I'd really like to hear what you think about stuff. Don't worry about being fancy, just tell me what you think. That's all. Those are the emails, by the way, that we respond to, because it's hard to go 101 replies. But if I get 3 that really gave me a message, I'm going to respond. The others, it's like I'll respond in mass and go, thanks for your communication, I appreciate it. Blah. Okay. Most of us are not running property tax bills. We're supporting property tax bills because it's such an important issue this session. So I am on Revenue Committee. We are talking, I don't know, Gary, how many property tax bills? That's a lot. And there's some really good ones. The governor vetoed one last session that is our primary property tax bill. And you're going to see that because that's part of the 5 and dime. That one's coming out in the first we are doing 5 and 10 days in the first country. We have a number of priorities though, and that's what the 5 and dime will display. And they're all things that people we contacted have told us. Polls have been done, we've knocked on doors, we've talked our children, our girls, to have to share a locker room with boys. Right, I know, it's like amazing that nobody has to be convinced of this. So these are the kinds of things we're working on. I'm working on a few bills myself. I'm not working on 12. 5.
5 and 9.
Well, yeah, mine are all.
You had all 5 in 10 days.
No, I don't get to do all of that, thank goodness. It would take longer because I talk a lot. Right now, the legislature records all committee and session meetings, and you can watch those on YouTube. There is no law that requires this. They did it as a function of COVID. It was a byproduct of COVID, and at any minute, somebody who doesn't like doing it could get in charge and say, nope, we're not doing it anymore, and I want it to be a law, because I'll tell you what, that's how I learned about this. I sat there doing canning during the off season and listening to committees meet, and I've met so many people now that I didn't know their faces, but man, I know their voices because I listen to them on YouTube so much. So that's one. I'm running a bill that will require that the governor convene the legislature either in person or electronically when he declares a health emergency. Because a 2-year health emergency is ridiculous. And no one person should have that kind of power. I'm running a bill that the CDC and the World Health Organization will not be superior in Wyoming for making healthcare decisions. And I'm running an election integrity bill. I wish I could tell you more about it, but it's still in the works and I don't have it yet. And then lastly, I'm running one that is about obscenity. I'm going to introduce a redefinition of obscenity. Right now we use what the Supreme Court decided, and it's called the Miller test. Am I okay for time? This is about a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do this. This is important.
The Miller test is, how do we know what is obscene? Because that's an adjective and that could mean something different to every person. But the Supreme Court said that the contemporary adult citizen in the community, if that person is offended, the contemporary, the typical, Joe Average, is offended, then that is obscene. The key word in that is adult. And we cannot apply adult sex standards to children. And so I'm introducing a series of definitions that will apply towards children, minors. My bill will also get rid of the exemption that currently exists for teachers and librarians. There will be penalties also redefined in this. We unfortunately have to spell out what nasty means. And that's what I intend to do on this one. It wasn't fun writing it, and it's not going to be fun introducing it.
Will YouTube let it be on?
Well, I know, right? I know. We have not been able to do that at the school board level because they say that this stuff is too nasty for YouTube to display. Maybe we'll have to have a NC-17 warning on that day. Also, I've co-signed many great bills in the House, and I think I'm just really looking forward to this session because Steve said 17 of us, and I think there are 2 new friends in the Senate, and so I think we're sitting with 19 conservative Christians new to the House and the Senate. I went up against a 20-year for 20 years, and they were saying it couldn't be done, but then a lot of you in this room helped me get there, and mostly I really have to thank not just you but God. I can't tell you how many times I knocked down doors and talked to people in my House district, and they'd say, "Oh, I heard you're a Christian." I said, "Well, yeah, that's true, I am. Could we pray together?" Wow. On their doorsteps, at their front doors, they would invite me in and we would pray together. And after that happened about 3 times, I went home and told my husband, I said, "I'm going to win." I didn't think I'd win big, but I knew at that point God had touched my heart and my constituents' hearts and told me, "You're doing this and you're going to win." So I thank you all for that because I couldn't have gotten there without you and God.
Amen.
Appreciate you so much. Amen.
Thank you so much. What a joy. Well, now we get to welcome a senator-elect.
I wasn't on the docket. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so if you'd like to comment, there may be a number of priorities, things that you're looking forward to, and we'd also an introduction of just the committees you might be on. So thanks for being with us.
Thanks.
All right.
What's his name?
Oh, Darin Smith. Yeah. Help me welcome Darin Smith.
I'm not really famous, but I'm a little infamous at times. But yeah, no, I'm so glad to be here. And I really love what Ann had to say and everybody. It's Jeremiah 22:3, I believe, and it says that young man, deliver the oppressed out of the hand of the oppressor. And so as I look at bills and stuff and things that need to happen, I was talking to a good friend of mine. He's a good guy in the Senate, and he's out of Casper. I won't identify him. He's a great guy, but he's like, you know what? We've got to cut spending. That has got to be our number one priority. And I'm like, well, I think my number one priority, and he's like, I wasn't trying to shame him, he's a great guy. I said, my number one priority needs to be to take care of the oppressed. And oftentimes that does mean limiting the size of government, right? Because when government grows, usually people are oppressed. I'm like, yeah, just throw another one on your back, right? How many more people can you carry on your back, right? It's like, that's kind of the way it feels. But anyway, so I am in the Senate, and I've been in politics for 10 years. I've never actually been a politician, but I've been in politics for 10 years because I was the first one to try and throw Cheney out. Man, I smelled the rat coming. I lost by 20,000 votes in that race, and I actually thought if you had better ideas and a good message that you could go and campaign and win. And so I got a call from a U.S. senator after the election. He said, Smith, if you'd have spent money, you'd have won that race. You only lost to her by 20,000 votes. And I said, sir, I did spend money. He's like, no, you spent 100,000. She spent 5 million, and she's the son. She might be the son. Who knows? But vice president. Okay. But anyway, I promise I actually I do like the 7-minute rule. I'll be quicker than that. I thought Representative Johnson was great. He was just like, bam, he just got it done. So I'll be fast. So I am on the Appropriations Committee, which I'm told a lot of people are not happy about that in the Senate. Just worked out because I'm a spending hawk, and I'm gonna hold people accountable. Like, my favorite question is why,
No,
right?
or who does it benefit?
Right, exactly. And government, and you guys have talked about this. It's like I don't know who was it said it, but it's not mine originally. But government is like a pet dragon. Either you starve it or it eats you. There's no really in between, right? The government's they're gonna find a way to grow. And these guys, they're professionals that grow in their business. And it's like even like all these rainy day funds and funds we put away. It's just gone to perpetuate government. We got to quit that. By the way, is this going on Facebook?
Yeah.
We got to quit that. So we've got to limit spending. So I'm actually going to be a part of some bills that will do that. This is the interim budget or the interim session, and we've got people requesting all kinds of money, like close to 800 million and spending requests. Dude, we just gave you money in the spring. You're already back for more. Are you kidding? Yeah, I guess you guys probably, when you're in front of the Appropriations Committee, you're probably going to be like, oh, there's that guy, right? And I actually think this. I want to counsel. I would encourage legislators and everybody here. I've been watching this for 2 years, and it's like they get what we call Potomac fever, which is in Washington, but it happens here. It happens here. There's all kinds of lobbyists. I've already gotten several lobbyists email me and say, Senator-elect Smith, by the way, don't call me Senator Smith. My name is Darin Smith, and I'm happy to know you, right? But said, Senator-elect Smith, with all the things going on, and you are a volunteer, and you just can't know everything. Let us help you. Well, I can't know anything. I can't know everything, right? But I'm not going to have lobbyists who are making a killing helping me, right? So that's not happening. We've got to really watch that. So several of the rhinos in the Senate who didn't win for the leadership race would say, well, Senator Smith, what are your legislative goals? Like, how can I help you pass your bills? I'm like, well, that's the problem. See, we have more than enough rules and laws and statutes. We have more than enough. We need to take stuff off. And I'm not saying there's not stuff that needs to happen. There are people that are oppressed. We need to fix spending. We need to protect children. We need to fix gun rights. We have to fix our election integrity. By the way, we will run a bill, and hopefully it'll get passed, but we'll see how it goes. But single day, paper ballot, and if we play Brank, I can already tell we're going to shame everybody into voting yes on that bill. So right now, it's Representative Smith out of Torrington. He's the sponsor. I'm the co-sponsor. He's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we're the only two on that bill? I'm like, it's not going to happen. There'll be lots of people on that bill. But anyway, so I'll finish up here. I don't know how long I've been going here. I need to be careful here. So again, there are things that need to happen. We need to protect babies. Love what Representative Brown had to say. I will be co-sponsoring some things. Like there are some things that need to happen. Like we need to not allow this sanctuary city baloney in our state, right? We just need to You know, the liberals are all for education competition, and unless a Christian school is trying to go up in Teton County, this happened, and all of a sudden they were trying to, oh, wait a minute, you can't have a private school more than 10,000 square foot. That's they passed that regulation, and so we have to continually handcuff or fight the left. We have to slow down the growth of government. That's what I'll be a part of, and you guys can. You can email me. I have a distribution list that I'll be emailing on the Senate side. If you guys want to get on my email distribution, just go to Darin, D-A-R-I-N, like the singer Bobby Darin. It's unusual, D-A-R-I-N .Smith @wyoleg.gov. Email me and I'll be happy to put you on my distribution list. And yeah, go ahead.
Please include transparency in spending as one of those, because there's so much that comes through that you really don't know what that's being spent on.
Right. Well,
or it's coming out
again,
of the Department of Health and they're
there's so
giving
many-
it to Wyoming Equality, that if
Yeah.
you really trace that funding down, it's not what we want to be spending that money on. So please add that to your list of.
Right. Well, yeah, anything that helps deliver the oppressor, the oppressor. Like that's like, hey, nothing to see here, folks. Let's keep it. We'll take care of you. Just let us slide those you're at a circus, right? And they're moving it around, right? And so, and I'll say, I remember when I helped Foster Freeze run for governor. By the way, he would have been an awesome governor. He would only live 3 years through that, but wow, the state would be different. But he's like, Darin, and by the way, I was the state chair, and by the grace of God, he's just a wonderful man. And he said, what I want, he said, I'm on boards, and by the way, he was really an amazing guy, and built an incredible business. He's like, anytime anybody reports to me or I'm on a board or something, they give me a one-sheeter. Darin, it gives me like a one-sheeter, what's going on. If I want more information, I can drill it down. Could you go find that for me? Went to the governor's office, went to the treasurer's office, went everywhere. I mean, like, I think I walked out of the treasurer's office with a stack this high. I walked to the governor's office with a stack of paper this high. No. So what you're saying, we need transparency. We need to know where the money's going. We need to know where the bodies are buried. And so I'm on the Appropriations Committee and plan to find out. So with that, guys, thank you for letting me be here.
That's a great rule of thumb, too. I was just reading one of the policies of Ronald Reagan. He wanted a one-sheeter with 4 paragraphs that would explain exactly what whatever issue is that he was facing, what it did. And so that's really good. So, well, right now we're going to have an opportunity, just a little bit of time here, about 15 minutes or so, for questions and answers. And this will give you an opportunity. Before we do that, let me just go through a few more bills. From those who couldn't be here, Evie Brennan had to work today at the hospital. But she's bringing a bill this year on open enrollment. And this is very important, especially here in Laramie County. Right now, depending on where you live in this community, wherever your zip code is, the public school that you want to go to is pretty restricted. They don't do that in Natrona County. But here, you have to apply to a bureaucrat for permission to see if you can go to a school that would better suit your child. And so she's going to be bringing an open enrollment bill. And then we do, as I've already mentioned, Art Wash's RFRA bill. This year there are 2. There's a lady in the Senate, Sherry Steinmetz, who's going to be working on something that she was working on last year on getting DEI out of the University of Wyoming. And that happened last year. And through some extensive research that we've done at Wyoming Family Alliance, we've been able to see now where some of those same individuals have been moved around, like the shell game that Senator Smith just mentioned. What you look at is they put them and bury them in a different college within the university system, maybe give them a slightly different title, but they're still there doing the same thing. Or as one of them phrased it on a Facebook post, we are still here with their clenched fist in the air. Interesting thing. University of Wyoming. Then Representative-elect Joe Webb from the west side of the state is going to be doing that, but focusing on K through 12 education and a bill called School Transparency and Accountability. Then Representative Rachel Williams will be looking at foster and adoption care bills, and then legislation that will protect pregnancy resource centers. We're going to have 2 bills that protect ladies in sports, girls in sports. And so we have Martha Lawley in the House and Wendy Schuler in the Senate working on those things. Then also there will be a bill It was brought by Senator Brian Boner last year, this year in the House by Representative Martha Lawley, but on the regulation of surgical abortions. And that was a bill that's very important. And we've watched some of those good bills get vetoed or changed at the last minute. And so it's time, though, that we really declare what the state feels. That we believe that these kind of abortion bills are absolutely important, and we need to make sure that we're not stymied by a one-person legislature in Teton County. At least that's how they view themselves. Yes, ma'am.
So in regards to abortion bills,
Mm-hmm.
do you know at this time, are there any abolitionist bills being brought forward insofar as the fact that inadvertently, tragically, through so many years of Roe versus Wade, we have told people, you have a right with impunity to kill your children, to murder your children. There needs to be a law that says, no, that's murder. If you do it, you have a criminal, and then the courts figure out
There are two that
where
we're
the
aware of
culpability
now.
lies.
The one is this one here, regulation of surgical abortion, and then Chairman Nyman will be carrying the chemical abortion bill. It's already filed HB 64.
So there is no, those are incrementalist bills?
I believe so.
Okay,
And so
very well.
when we also then look, there will be a couple bills that will be brought, one on age verification. It's interesting, Texas passed a piece of legislation, and it basically said that if a child under a certain age tries to get onto a porn site, that they would have to click it, at least just at a minimum. Click a button that says that they're over 18. That right there stops a number of kids, but then secondly, interestingly, some of the largest providers of porn decided that they wouldn't even participate in Texas, which is just a wonderful benefit. On top of that, we're going to have, there's a couple bills that'll be brought forward on those subjects. And then medical rights of conscience, Pepper Ottman will be working on that.